All right, one more, you guys. The next person is Eddie McMillan. So if you guys gotta use the bathroom, Eddie's gonna be on here for a while.
We heard enough on the field.
This is a sequel. The sequel, Score.
You did mean 4-3. First of all, I'd like to take the opportunity to thank the committee, all of the former players, the wives, the girlfriends, and also the fellow inductees into the Hall of Fame. I think you should all give yourself a big hand. You know, when I look out at the audience, it's like old home week. A lot of players that I've coached and a lot of players that I've coached against, as well as coaches that I've coached with and coaches that I've played against. I'd like to give a special thanks to my girlfriend Terry for putting up with me for all of these years and allowing me the opportunity to be a part of you guys' life. You know, it's a testament to the things that a person does in his life as he gets older and he look back and say, what have I done? What have I accomplished in life? And when you're young, you sort of take things for granted. You don't really appreciate them. And the reason being is because you're caught up in the moment. I've been very blessed in terms of the accomplishments that I've had. I probably have had way more blessings than I deserve, but I'll take them. You know, my dad left home, and this isn't about me, and I'll come back and remember this point. My dad left home when I was 2 years old. I didn't see my dad again until I was 21. I was the first one in our family to go to college. Also, my class was the first blacks to go to Florida State University. That's kind of like being the first blacks to go to the University of Washington. In the Deep South, when black people couldn't even vote. I was a captain of an NFL team, defensive rookie of the year of an NFL team. Once again, it's not about me. It's about you guys. It's about you guys appreciating the honors that you get. It's about you guys being a part of something. As Keith alluded to a little earlier, you know, you guys now have memories. You have things that you can look back on. It's known as history. You know, when I spoke last year, one of the things that I said was, there was football in the Northwest before the Seahawks got here. You guys were professional football. It gave you guys an opportunity to continue to be a part of an organization, to be a part of a team, to be a part of something special. Some of you guys had goals and aspirations to go on and play in the pros. That gave you an opportunity and gave you a venue to be able to do that. As Keith and some of the guys alluded to earlier, a lot of the guys, they played football, but they weren't good stewards of that opportunity. And as a result of that, even though they had the athletic abilities and the skills, they weren't able to move on. Because no college and no university is going to invest that amount of money in you knowing that you're going to fail. But what it did is the semi-pro league gave them an opportunity to go back and restart. Go back, develop their skills, get their grades together, and go to college. Which a lot of the players did, not only the teams that I coach, but also a lot of the teams that other coaches coach, like Baines and the other coaches in this particular league. I couldn't have success in any part of my life if it had not been for the people who were a part of my life. My success in the Northwest Football League is the direct accordance to being a part of working with you and being a part of playing and working against you. People wonder why did I decide to go into semi-pro coaching? As I alluded to earlier, you have to be a good steward of the blessings that you got. And growing up in a single-family household without a dad, I know how important it was to be a father figure to a lot of the kids, not just black, but white too. There were a lot of white kids who didn't have dads. And we as coaches, we were leaders and we were their father figures. And they looked to us for guidance, for direction. And what we taught them about was the real game. It's the game of life. In football, you don't like your teammates sometimes, do you? You don't like your boss at work. You don't like the play that's called. You don't like the decisions that's made at work. You don't like your fellow teammate. You don't like your coworker. But you put all those things aside because you have one goal. And what that goal is to be able to achieve success, to be a champion. That's why it was so important back in 1969 when blacks couldn't vote in the South that we integrated Florida State University. And what we did is I just came back from my 45th anniversary where we integrated Florida State University. And to see some of the changes in some of the guys that we played with, because remember, we were in the Deep South. Words triggers pictures that bring about feelings or emotions. If you think a certain way, you act a certain way. And that's what athletics does. All of a sudden, you're with somebody from a different race, creed, and color, and all of a sudden, all of the myths, all of the innuendos, all of the rumors and lies that you heard before aren't true. And what you find out is if you dislike somebody, you don't dislike them because they're black or white. You dislike them because you just dislike them. And that's how it is in life. Once you learn and you develop those skills, then it'll make you a better person. And that's what I tried to accomplish. That's what Coach Baines tried to accomplish. And Coach Baines was a big reason why we came into the league when Richard Harris and myself, and we all sat down and we said, well, how can we give back like we gave back in the early 60s and 70s? Because you guys remember, in the 80s and 90s, those were very volatile times. And a lot of the young men, they needed father figures. And we were their father figures. Now, we weren't perfect. We thought we were. But what we tried to do is we tried to instill the values that's going to take them much further than the football field. And it gives me great joy to see as I look around the room and over the years, all of the success that the players that I've coached and coached against have had. Now, everybody hasn't been successful, but overall, I think we did a pretty good job. A lot of the guys are now coaching, and I talk to them and they're now using the same phrases that I used to use. I'll use you till I can replace you. One more play. Move the drill. Don't be Wally Pipp. You guys know who Wally Pipp is? Let me tell you guys who Wally Pipp is. Wally Pipp was an all-star baseball player for the New York Yankees. One day the New York Yankees playing a doubleheader. But Wally Pipp decided to get him on a plane. The manager said, please, Wally. Wally said, my name's Wally. I'm the man. I'm not playing. Get out my face. So the manager said, okay. And he walked down to the end of the bench and he looked at a little rookie and said, you're starting today. And that rookie went on to start, what? 1,572 games in a row. His name was Joe DiMaggio. So when they used to talk that stuff to me about, I don't want to practice coach, you don't want to be Wally Pipp. You'll be sitting in the stands with your girlfriend. Let there be no mistake. It gave me great pleasure because what athletics did is athletics gave me an opportunity to see the world. When I was a kid, I kind of was a nerd, but I was a good athlete, but everybody thought I was a thug, but that was just the image, because I was an aggressive Tampa, and I didn't want to fight. But what I did was, I read all the time, and it gave me an opportunity to go places that I never had an opportunity to go to before. So one of the things that I said was when I got into coaching, I wanted to make absolutely sure I'd be with an organization that allowed me to take guys on trips in different cities, in different places, to give them exposure. I grew up as a little kid in Florida. Only thing I'd ever seen black people do on TV was be maids and butlers. Until I flew out to Eugene, Oregon, and ran in the National High School Hurdles Champion, which of course I won. I beat Ronaldo Nehemiah. He won the Olympics, but he happened to be sick that day. But I'll take the victory anyway. I was the national champion, won it all. But what he did was, I stopped off in Fairfield, California. I had an aunt and uncle that was in the military. And they started taking me around, and I started to see very successful black people. I saw black people on television as newscasters and big opulent houses, and I said, hey, you can have that too. Because words triggers pictures that bring about feelings or emotions. If you think a certain way, you act in direct accordance to that picture in your mind. So what it did was, it gave us an opportunity to be able to take these guys to places like China, like Hawaii, like California, like Utah, and give them an opportunity to see different parts of the world. Give them an opportunity to have goals and aspirations. That's what it was all about. It was about giving back. It was about being a good steward of your blessings. Being able to share something. And as I look back and see the achievements that Bassard and Guy and Skip and some of the other guys have made, it does my heart great joy to make me think that at least we did something right. Now, the players didn't always love us, because we ran them like a dog. Because we knew life was going to be hard. It wasn't going to be easy. And if you're able to take all the toil, the hard work, the verbal abuse, and all the other things that comes with being associated with playing football, then I know it's going to give you one of the best chances to be successful. I always thought of myself as a teacher. I coached with 5 different teams when I was in the league. Of those 5 teams, only one team was a winning team when I went to it. Every other team and every other organization was a losing organization. I want to give special thanks to Debbie Jockaway and Randy. That was my first team. Never had a winning team. Took them to the championship when Baines and them refused to play us. Just had to say it. to Snohomish County that never won a game before to the championship. Jaguars to the championship. Beat Kennan when they're at the east side. Didn't matter. I didn't have the best players. Didn't matter. What mattered is if you're a good teacher and you put your guys in a position to be successful, not only in football but in a game of life, then that's what's going to happen. Because nobody is ever going to give you anything. You have to earn it. You guys have earned the right to say, I was professional football before the Seahawks came here. You guys have a legacy, and you need to hold on to this legacy. Because when you guys get to be my age, which is only a couple of years from now, you're going to look back at these times and be very, very, very thankful for them. And your kids are going to want to share those memories with you. So I encourage every one of you guys to be a good steward of those memories, to cherish those memories, because these are memories that can never, ever, ever be replaced. Once again, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you for inducting me into the Hall of Fame and for me being a part of your life over these years. Now, I've been pestered by all of my former players to put together an all-MAC team, like an all-Madden team. So I put together a team of the players that I feel that I can put on the field and beat anybody anywhere. Now, it's not necessarily the best players, it's the best team. Because you have guys that are good athletes, but they don't play good together. And you as a coach, it's incumbent upon you to put them on the field. So here it is. We'll go in alphabetical order. Deion Alexander, linebacker. Don Adams, defensive line. Muhammad Abdullah, defensive back. Mike Ashley, kicker. Lance Alderson, defensive line. Dwayne Brown, quarterback. Chris Bailey, wide receiver. Freeman Basinger, running back. Jeff Berry, defensive line. Rico Brown, wide receiver. Howard Black, defensive back. Eugene Bruce, tight end, long snapper. Earl Barnett, wide receiver. Brad Burmaster, offensive lineman. Darrell Brown, running back. Dave Broussard, kicker. Dwayne Buckley, running back. Al Brown, defensive back. Mike Beatty, linebacker. Tom Baker, running back. Mike Casillas, defensive line. Melvin McCants, defensive back. Mike Cole, linebacker. Carlos Carson, wide receiver. Curtis Delgado, running back. Mitch Dillard, defensive line. Damon Dickey, defensive back. Jim Doyle, offensive lineman. Kenny Driscoll, linebacker. Kevin Skip Delaney, running back. Al Dodson, quarterback. Mike Dawson, tight end. Leo Dickinson, quarterback. Malik DeWalt, running back. Ford, wide receiver. Eric Franklin, quarterback. Larry Freeman, offensive lineman. Dwayne Foster, defensive back. Larry Fowler, offensive lineman. Guy Gabriel, offensive lineman. Pat Gilbert, offensive lineman. Seth The Ambassador Gilbert, offensive lineman. Dave Hewitt, wide receiver. Fred Hardwell, defensive lineman. Kenny Harris, defensive back. Mike Harris, running back. Jeff Hudson, offensive lineman. Mac Haggett, tight end. Keith Jones, offensive lineman. Ronnie Jones, defensive back. Johnny Jones, running back. Teddy Jackson, wide receiver. Larry Jackson, wide receiver. Keith Jones, offensive tackle. Leland Johnson, defensive line. Greg Kennan, offensive lineman. Derek Law, defensive back. Burley Lockhart, defensive lineman. Danny Lee, quarterback. Milton Myers, safety, kick returner. Jeff Moore, defensive line. Brian McIntosh, defensive back. Matt Matthews, offensive lineman. Ken Marcus, offensive lineman. Matt Mahone, quarterback. Hakeem McAllister, wide receiver. Dave Malusian, offensive lineman. Jose Marino, kicker. Vic Mason, offensive line. Stan Mason, center. Tom Naconti, quarterback. Marty Norquist, defensive line. Gary Olson, offensive lineman. Sean O'Loughlin, kicker. Brian Pittman, long snapper. Will Postel, linebacker. Fred Poland, offensive lineman. Dwayne Rainwater, defensive back. Brandon Rayner, whenever we keep him out of jail, defensive lineman. The original Randy Moss, Keith Richardson, Marcus Roden, Derek Slater, John Sammy, Jacoby Squares, Malcolm Stewart, Kiko Soto, Seth Sherman, Lance Salisbury, Derek Smith, Tommy Thompson, Vic Tooley, Jackie Tripoli, Brian Thompson, Lance Westendorf, Aaron Woodruff, Corey Walker, Rod Wilson, Kevin Wade, Terrell Walker, Robert Whitney, Keith Walker, and Calvin Yarborough. This is the All-MAC team. Thanks a lot, guys.